The rain poured in silver streaks over the cracked pavements of the small town as she stood barefoot under a flickering streetlight, her graduation gown clinging to her trembling body. She clutched her rolled-up certificate tightly against her chest, tried to smile, even though tears mixed with the rain. Her name was Aisha, a girl who had walked miles both literally and emotionally just to reach this day. But tonight, her joy was shadowed by something small yet heartbreaking. She had no shoes. The crowd around the university gate was dispersing. Cars rolled away, laughter echoed, and flashes from cameras lit the night. Aisha stood there, shivering, hiding her feet behind the folds of her gown, praying no one would notice. Her classmates were leaving in shining heels and polished suits, arms full of flowers and pride. She had only her mother's worn scarf around her neck, and an ache of emptiness inside her chest. She turned to the side street, ready to walk the long way home, when a deep, calm voice stopped her. "Excuse me, are you okay?" She turned, startled. A tall man stood under an umbrella, dressed in a black suit that screamed elegance. His shoes alone looked like they cost more than her year's rent. His face was kind, yet his eyes carried something heavy. Loneliness, maybe, or memory. She wiped her face quickly. "I'm fine, sir," she lied. "Just heading home." He looked at her feet. Mud, rain, and bruises told the truth she tried to hide. "You're barefoot," he said softly. Her cheeks burned. "It's fine. I'll be careful." He hesitated, as if fighting himself, then bent slightly and asked with unexpected gentleness, "Can I help you somehow?" She smiled sadly, shaking her head. "No, thank you. But if you could, just for a moment." She bit her lip, looked at his polished shoes, and whispered, "Can I borrow your shoes? Just for photo. It's my graduation." The man blinked, unsure if he'd heard right. A poor girl in a drenched gown, asking to borrow his shoes? The sight broke something inside him. He handed her the umbrella, knelt, and began untying his shoes. "You don't need to borrow them," he said quietly. "They're yours now." She gasped, stepping back. "No, I can't accept that. These must cost," he smiled faintly. "They're just shoes. But tonight is your day." She hesitated, then slowly slipped them on. They were far too big, but she laughed anyway, covering her mouth. For the first time in years, she felt beautiful, like she belonged somewhere. He took her photo, the flash cutting through the rain. She thanked him 100 times and walked away barefoot again, carrying the shoes in her hands, too afraid to ruin them. She didn't even ask his name, but as she disappeared into the night, he whispered to himself, "You remind me of her," and looked up toward the stars, where the memory of his younger sister, lost years ago to poverty, lingered in his heart. The next morning, Aisha walked in her part-time cafe job, her shoes tucked carefully in a bag. The bell rang as she entered, and the owner called out, "You're late again, girl." "I'm sorry, sir," she said quickly. "My graduation ran late, and the buses stopped running." He waved her off. "Doesn't matter. Just clean up table 3. As she turned, her heart stopped. Sitting there, with the same calm eyes from last night, was the man in the black suit. Except now, he wasn't just any man. Around him sat people in crisp uniforms, talking in respectful tones. The cafe owner nearly tripped running to him. "Sir, we didn't know you'd visit today. If I'd known, I'd have prepared something special." Aisha froze. "Sir?" The man looked up, saw her, and smiled softly. "Hello again." She nearly dropped the tray. You're... Before she could finish, the cafe owner blurted out, "You're speaking to Mr. Zayn Malik, the CEO of Malik Holdings." Her heart pounded. The same man she'd asked to borrow shoes from was one of the richest men in the city. Zayn leaned back in his chair, his expression unreadable. "You work here?" She nodded weakly. I needed the money while studying." "I'll leave if..." He interrupted gently. "Don't. Sit down." The cafe owner's jaw dropped. "Sir, she's just a server." Zayn's tone turned firm. "I said sit." Aisha obeyed, her hands trembling as she sat across from him. He studied her face for a moment. "You worked through school, graduated despite everything. That's not ordinary. That's courage." She blinked, trying to understand what was happening. He smiled faintly. My sister used to say that shoes carry more than feet. They carry stories. You didn't just borrow mine. You walked into a memory I thought I'd lost. Tears filled her eyes. Your sister? He nodded. She was just like you. Wanted to graduate, but she never made it. I lost her when I was your age. He paused, looking down at his coffee. You reminded me of what she would have become. Aisha couldn't speak. The silence between them was heavy but kind. After a long pause, Zion reached into his briefcase and slid an envelope across the table. This is for you. A position at my company. You start next week. Her mouth fell open. I don't have experience. You have what matters, he interrupted. Art. Perseverance. The rest can be taught. She stared at him, tears spilling freely. Why are you helping me? He smiled softly. Because once, someone helped me when I had nothing. And because last night, you reminded me what real strength looks like. Asking, not begging. Dreaming, not doubting. A few years later, the world would come to know Aisha Malik, the youngest woman executive in Malik Holdings, known for her compassion and brilliance. But she never forgot that night, or the man who lent her shoes when all she had were dreams. And every year, on her graduation anniversary, she'd visit the same street corner, place a pair of new shoes beneath the old streetlight, and whisper, for someone who needs them more. Because sometimes one small act of kindness doesn't just change a life, it echoes through countless others.